Yes, I don't know. We gonna see. Okay, I'm back, y'all, in Divinely Grateful Risings. How are y'all doing today? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to Bible Clarity, y'all. Y'all know if you are new to the Bible Clarity community, welcome. We are so happy and so grateful that you are here. Y'all know we are on a mission to read the Word, discuss the Word, and build relationship with the Lord. Reading the Bible 2 chapters at a time. And today we are on 2 Chronicles 31 and 32. We are reading about Hezekiah. We're getting ready to talk about Hezekiah's religious reforms. Y'all, like the live, share the love. Drop something in the chat that you're grateful for. Let's get in the flow of abundance and let's do it. Okay, so here we go. They just got done celebrating the Passover. They did like 14 days instead of 7. Um, let's see what's happening. Here we go. I hope that ain't too loud in the phone, y'all. My phone started to overheat. Y'all know this phone bougie. It got to have its own air conditioning system. Okay, I'm back. When the festival ended, the Israelites who attended went to all the towns of Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh, and they smashed all the sacred pillars, cut down the Asherah poles, and removed the pagan shrines and altars. After this, the Israelites returned to their own towns and homes. Hezekiah then organized the priests and Levites into divisions to offer the burnt offerings and peace offerings and to worship and give thanks and praise to the Lord at the gates of the temple. The king also made a personal contribution of animals for the daily morning and evening burnt offerings, the weekly Sabbath festivals, the monthly new moon festivals, and the annual festivals as prescribed in the law of the Lord. In addition, he required the people in Jerusalem to bring a portion of their goods to the priests and Levites so they could devote themselves fully to the law of the Lord. When the people of Israel heard these requirements, they responded generously by bringing the first share of their grain, new wine, olive oil, honey, and all the produce of their fields. They brought a large quantity, a tithe of all they produced. The people who had moved to Judah from Israel and the people of Judah themselves brought in the tithes of their cattle, sheep, and goats, and a tithe of the things that had been dedicated to the Lord their God, and they piled them up in great heaps. They began piling them up in late spring, and the heaps continued to grow until early autumn. When Hezekiah and his officials came and saw these huge piles, they thanked the Lord and his people Israel. Where did all this come from? Hezekiah asked the priests and Levites. And Azariah, the high priest from the family of Zadok, replied, since the people began bringing their gifts to the Lord's temple, we have had enough to eat and plenty to spare. The Lord has blessed his people, and all this is left over. Come on, abundance and overflow. We receive it. Drop it in the chat. Overflow. Hezekiah ordered that the storerooms be prepared in the temple of the Lord. When this was done, the people faithfully brought all the gifts, tithes, and other items dedicated for the use in the temple. Conaniah the Levite was put in charge, assisted by his brother Shammai. The supervisors under them were Jehiel, Azariah, Nahath, Asahel, Jeremoth, Josabad, Eliel, Ismachiah, Mahath, and Benaiah. These appointments were made by King Hezekiah and Azariah, the chief official in the temple of God. Korah, son of Imnah the Levite, who was the gatekeeper at the east gate, was put in charge of distributing the voluntary offerings given to God, the gifts and the things that had been dedicated to the Lord. His faithful assistants were Eden, Miniamin, Jeshua, Shemaiah, Amariah, and Shechaniah. They distributed the gifts among the families of priests in their town by their divisions, dividing the gifts fairly among old and young alike. They distributed the gifts to all males 3 years or older, regardless of their place in the genealogical records. The distribution went to all who would come to the Lord's temple to perform their daily duties according to their division. They distributed gifts to the priests who were listed by their families in the genealogical records, and to the Levites 20 years or older who were listed according to their jobs and their divisions. Food allotments were also given to the families of all those listed in the genealogical records, including their babies, wives, sons, and daughters, for they had all been faithful in purifying themselves. As for the priests, the descendants of Aaron, who were living in the open villages around the towns, men were appointed by name to distribute portions to every male among the priests and to all the Levites listed in the genealogical records. And this way, King Hezekiah handled the distribution throughout all Judah, doing what was pleasing and good in the sight of the Lord his God. And all that he did in the service of the temple of God and in his efforts to follow God's law and commands, Hezekiah sought his God wholeheartedly. As a result, he was very successful. Assyria invades Judah. After Hezekiah had faithfully carried out his work, King Sennacherib of Assyria invaded Judah. He laid siege to the fortified towns, giving orders for his army to break through their walls. When Hezekiah realized that Sennacherib also intended to attack Jerusalem, he consulted with his officials and military advisors, and they decided to stop the flow of the springs outside the city. They organized a huge work crew to stop the flow of the springs, cutting off the brook that ran through the fields. For they said, "Why should the kings of Assyria come here and find plenty of water?" Then Hezekiah worked hard at repairing all the broken sections of the wall, erecting towers and constructing a second wall outside the first. He also reinforced the supporting terraces in the city of David and manufactured large numbers of weapons and shields. He appointed military officers over the people and assembled them before him in the square at the city gate. Then Hezekiah encouraged them by saying, "Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid or discouraged because of the king of Assyria or his mighty army, for there is a power far greater on our side. He may have a great army, but they are merely men. We have the Lord our God to help us fight and to fight our battles for us. Come on, fight for me." Hezekiah's words greatly encouraged the people. Sennacherib threatens Jerusalem. While King Sennacherib of Assyria was still besieging the town of Lachish, he sent his officers to Jerusalem with this message for Hezekiah and all the people in the city. This is what King Sennacherib of Assyria says. "What are you trusting in that makes you think you can survive my siege of Jerusalem? Hezekiah has said, 'The Lord, our God, will rescue us from the king of Assyria.' Surely Hezekiah is misleading you, sentencing you to death by famine and thirst. Don't you realize that Hezekiah is the very person who destroyed all the Lord's shrines and altars? He commanded Judah and Jerusalem to worship only at the altar at the temple and to offer sacrifices on it alone. Surely you must realize what I and the other kings of Assyria before me have done to all the people of the earth. Were any of the gods of those nations able to rescue their people from my power? Which of their gods was able to rescue its people from the destructive power of my predecessors? What makes you think your God can rescue you from me? Don't let Hezekiah deceive you. Don't let him fool you like this. I say it again, no God of any nation or kingdom has ever yet been able to rescue his people from me or my ancestors. How much less will your God rescue you from my power?" First of all, you don't need much know who you was fooling with. Daddy, I got excited, didn't come back. And Sennacherib's officers further mocked the Lord God and his servant Hezekiah, heaping insult upon insult. The king, they just don't never learn, do it? They just don't learn. The king's letters scorning the Lord. Wait, let me read that back. The king also sent letters scorning the Lord, the God of Israel. He wrote, "Just as the gods of all the other nations failed to rescue their people from my power, so the God of Hezekiah will also fail." The Assyrian officials who brought the letter shouted this in Hebrew to the people gathered on the walls of the city, trying to terrify them so it would be easier to capture the city. These officers talked about the God of Jerusalem as though he were one of the pagan gods made by human hands. Then King Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, cried out in prayer to God in heaven. And the Lord sent an angel who destroyed the Assyrian army with all its commanders and officers. Guess you ain't mocking no more, is it? So Sennacherib was forced to return home in disgrace to his own land. And when he entered the temple of his God, some of his own sons killed him there with a sword. See, y'all be playing, just better stop playing with the Lord. This is how the Lord rescued Hezekiah and the people of Jerusalem from King Sennacherib of Assyria and from all the others who threatened them. So there was peace throughout the land. From then on, King Hezekiah became highly respected among all the surrounding nations, and many gifts for the Lord arrived at Jerusalem with valuable presents for King Hezekiah too. Hezekiah's sickness and recovery. About that time, Hezekiah became deathly ill. He prayed to the Lord, who healed him and gave him a miraculous sign. But Hezekiah did not respond appropriately to the kindness shown him, and he became proud. So the Lord's anger came against him and against Judah and Jerusalem. Then Hezekiah humbled himself and repented of his pride, as did the people of Jerusalem. So the Lord's anger did not fall on them during Hezekiah's lifetime. Hezekiah was very wealthy and highly honored. He built special treasury buildings for his silver, gold, precious stones, and spices, and for his shields and other valuable items. He also constructed many storehouses for his grain, new wine, and olive oil, and he made many stalls for his cattle and pens for his flocks of sheep and goats. He built many towns and acquired vast flocks and herds, for God had given him great wealth. I'm going to finish this, but I ain't going to forget to say what I'm going to say. He blocked up the upper spring of Gihon and brought the water down through a tunnel to the west side of the city of David, and so he succeeded in everything he did. However, when ambassadors arrived from Babylon to ask about the remarkable events that had taken place in the land, God withdrew from Hezekiah in order to test him and to see what was really in his heart. Uh-oh. The rest of the events in Hezekiah's reign and his acts of devotion are recorded in the vision of the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, which is in Israel. Which is included in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. When Hezekiah died, he was buried in the upper area of the royal cemetery, and all Judah and Jerusalem honored him at his death, and his son Manasseh became the next king. Let me read this box. The great occupational hazard of leaders is the trap of believing their own press. When leaders begin to believe that they need no guidance or second opinions, they become vulnerable to arrogance and ego. In this instance, Hezekiah shows sensible leadership and calling upon both a spiritual advisor, Isaiah, and the God of heaven. Whatever leadership responsibilities you may have, you will benefit from regular prayer as well as from the help of wise and godly counselors. Now, I'm finna say shout out to TU, because you be thinking that things don't be. Let me just tell y'all, man, listen, I don't take counsel from a lot of people. I really don't, because all counsel ain't wise counsel. But the fact I be telling y'all that I be feeling like I be walking out certain stuff in the word, right? And so the fact that we talking about this leadership, if even as a leader you ain't gonna take everybody's counsel, but you can take counsel from people who you know that are godly and that are going to give you sound advice, and we just talked about this yesterday in TU. So just know this, like, you can be a leader, but every leader still has people that they take counsel from. It's not that you're going to act on everything that you're told, but you got to be able to listen to other people who also have a relationship with God, if that makes sense. So I hope that made sense to somebody. And I was also going to say that was what I'm on the box, but can I Can we drop this in the chat as well? Lord, I receive the wealth. I be trying to explain to people, man, the Lord, all these people we be reading about, all these people who the Lord has blessed and put in these positions of power and authority, they weren't broke, y'all. They were wealthy. They had sheep and cattle and goats and just all of these people who the Lord placed in a position of power and authority. We continue to see it over and over and over. The Lord didn't tell none of us to be down here poor, broke, and struggling. He literally is going to make you abundant. We got Psalms 91 as the card that is coming in. That's so crazy. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the rewards of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he will give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, message, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon you shall trample under feet. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. He will call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. And for y'all know that this is a prayer of protection. This is a prayer that you can pray when you need to make sure that you know that you're covered, Lord, to know that the Lord got you in every way, to know that you are fully covered and that you can rely on the Lord. So if you don't know Psalms 91, make sure that you go and read Psalms 91. This is one of those prayers that speaks for itself. So make sure you go and read Psalms 91 for yourself. Okay. And that's it, especially if you need some protection. Okay, that's it, Lord. Look, 1717. I cannot make this up, y'all. That number is, look, this ain't even from this one. This is from the previous episode, but I looked up and saw 1717, so I can't make it up. That number, I told y'all, that number is chasing me as we're on page 411 in this Bible. That's it. Lord, I hope this helps somebody. Y'all, hydrate your soul and things, drink your water, say your gratitude. Have a fantastic and an amazing day in purpose and on purpose. And make sure you like the live, share the love. I will see y'all on the next one. Deuces.